I want to thank the gentleman from Virginia. And I want the folks in Iran to know that the United States of America stands with the people of Iran. You know, it's a closed society. I doubt they will hear our words here tonight, but they should know that in our hearts and in our prayers and in our thoughts, we have the people of Iran and their best wishes in mind. I've been here for 7 years in Congress, and during that 7 years, Iran keeps coming up to the forefront, whether it's the Obama administration's failed Iranian nuclear deal, which is coming up for authorization, I think, on the 19th in this month, 15th, 19th, or if it's the protests. And since I've been in Congress, this is the second round of uprising protest against the government within Iran. Now, the dichotomy is the Obama administration ignored the people in Iran, but the Trump administration has told the people in Iran, we stand with you against an oppressive government. Iran keeps coming up, even in a Politico magazine article. They had a well-sourced account of an alleged Obama administration scandal last month that's prompted review by the Department of Justice and interest by the House Oversight and Governmental Reform Committee. The article alleges the Obama administration restrained classified efforts by the Drug Enforcement Administration to shut down an international criminal operation by Hezbollah. Now, Hezbollah, based in Lebanon, is a proxy of Iran. And when you hear Hezbollah, you might as well think Iran. They're one and the same. So I'm deeply troubled by the idea that President Obama's motivation was getting past by any means necessary his failed Iranian deal. He could not let anything get in the way of that legacy. Now, if this article is true, President Obama was more concerned about passing his agenda item, opposed by members of both parties and a majority of the American people, than protecting the safety of the American people. And we all know about the pallets of cash that were given to Iran, and now they could have spent it on their economy, they could have paid down debt, they could have done anything. But I would bet that the largest state sponsor of terrorism, the country of Iran, used the bulk of that money to continue funding terrorist operations around the globe. And the number one recipient of Iranian help is Hezbollah. But let me bring it a little closer to home. Because in 2012, I authored a bill called Counting Iran in the Western Hemisphere Act of 2012, signed into law by President Obama, directing the State Department to actually do an in-depth study into the Iranian activities in the Western Hemisphere, specifically South America. And they did a halfway limp-wristed report that even the 2014 GAO report, only 2 of the 12 requirements mandated in that law were fully addressed. The Obama administration acted in complete disregard to the law. 6 elements of my legislation were only partially addressed, 4 were not addressed at all. Meanwhile, the activity of Hezbollah in the Western Hemisphere continued, and it's continuing today. There's an area in South America known as the Tri-Border region. It's where the borders of Argentina and Brazil and Paraguay all come together. Some would even say it's a lawless area. It's controlled by elements of Hezbollah. And 2 acts of terror happened in Argentina and Buenos Aires. The 1994 bombing of the AMIA Jewish Cultural Center in Buenos Aires was the single largest loss of life from an act of terrorism in the Western Hemisphere prior to 9/11. Believed to be hatched in the Tri-Border region by elements of Iran and Hezbollah. It was sort of swept under the rug by the Argentine government of Cristina Kirchner. But there was a brave individual, a special prosecutor named Alberto Niesman, who took this on his own to say, we know what happened at the AMIA. We know Iran was involved. And he set out to prove it. He compiled massive amounts of data. And the morning before he was scheduled to testify in front of the Argentine Congress about his findings, implicating the Kirchner regime for hiding some of this because they wanted to coddle up to Iran. They wanted Iran's help. They wanted to sell Iran nuclear technology, I believe. They wanted Iran's help with money. The morning before Alberto Nisman was going to implicate the Kirchner regime for the AMIA bombing and hiding the facts from the Argentine people in the world with regard to Iran's activities in that AMIA bombing in '94, Alberto Nisman was assassinated in his apartment, even though he had multiple security personnel guarding him. Shot behind the ear. Now, the Kirchner regime tried to say that that was suicide. There was no gunpowder on his hands. And it's now been proven that it was not suicide, that it was assassination, possibly by elements of Iran as well. I say all that to let the folks listening tonight here in America and around the world know that Iran isn't just in the area in the Middle East known as Persia. They have elements like Hezbollah that are operating globally. Iran has said that they want to wipe the big Satan and the little Satan, Israel and the United States, off the map. They don't have our best interests at heart. But as a free people here in the United States of America, I can tell you we have the best interest of the Iranian people at heart. When we stand on this floor and we talk about the uprising, the protests that are going on in Iran now, that we have the best interest of the Iranian people at heart. Because we don't stand to benefit in any way from us standing up for freedom. Folks that want self-government, folks that want less oppression, that want some say-so in their livelihood and how their government operates. And that's what the Iranian people are talking about in these protests. So unfortunately, the Obama administration, the State Department, did not take the Countering Iran in the Western Hemisphere Act very seriously. But Iran's here. They've opened cultural centers and embassies in Latin America. I don't know the number right off, but they continue to be more involved here closer to home. No cultural ties, very limited economic ties between Iran and Latin America. So you have to question yourself to why the Persians are here. Have to be aware, folks, that Iran is the largest state sponsor of terror with billions, hundreds of billions of dollars that we release to them, pallet loads of cash that could find their way into terrorist organizations that don't have American interests at heart. So I want to thank the gentleman from Virginia for giving us an opportunity tonight to focus on Iran, to focus on its proxy Hezbollah, to focus on primarily the Iranian people and their quest for more freedom. I thank you, and with